we're going target shooting in this episode of the Gear Guide. So, every once in a while a gun, especially a pistol, comes out that breaks the mold of the tactical and law enforcement stuff, and we're looking at one right here, and it's the new race gun from Elite Force and Umarex here, and this thing is aimed straight at the target shooting crowd. So we're going to start at the front on this pistol and move back, and we're going to talk about all the features. There's a lot going on because this is not your standard pistol. So here in the front, you do get a compensator. Now in Airsoft, it doesn't really work like a real steel compensator to where it actually helps offset the muzzle blast, but on Airsoft, it adds some weight to the front, which helps you control those shots and adds some extension to the inner barrel, because the inner barrel is going to come right here to the end. It gives you almost an extra inch or a little over an inch of inner barrel to help increase your accuracy on those up-close shots. On the front, you do get a fiber optic sight. This one's an orange. In the rear, you have a charging handle, but in the box, you get standard black sights or green double dot fiber optic sights that you can swap in and out. And if you do want to use those fiber optic sights, you can take off this removable rail here on the top. 6 Allen screws, there's 3 on this side, 3 on the other. Thing pops right off, and you'll be able to use those iron sights or fiber optic sights. But if you're running an optic, you've got a ton of space up here. I mean, this is a big rail section. You can even run like a huge aim point, like an M2 or something like that, or you can do the small little reflex sights. You got tons of room to decide to whatever your favorite sight is, you can put it right on here. And continuing the rails, moving to the bottom, you got an extra rail space over what you normally get on a 1911. So you get about 5.5 sections, I'd call it, because this one kind of doubles up to put your lights, lasers, or anything down here on the bottom. Moving to the controls, the trigger itself actually rocks a little bit to the rear. It's actually good. It's got a kind of a positive brake about halfway through, so you know when that shot's gonna break. So the safety is on the right and the left, so it's ambi friendly, but the slide release when it locks back is only on the left side. So that is probably the only control on this pistol you're gonna find that's righty only. But fear not, it's huge, oversized, and really easy to get to. They actually slittle extra toward the back, so your thumb can reach it no problem. Mag drops out with a huge oversized mag release down here on the bottom, and it is ambi as well. You can actually take it out, one Phillips head screw here on the right side, and flip that button around. So if you're a lefty, you can switch it over and get those mags out. Also about those mags, this is something kind of interesting too. Rather than just press the button and it falls out, it kind of ejects out. It has a little bit of a spring tension to it. So when you press the button, they jump out in your hand, and you would think, well, great, now I'm going to drop mags and crack them on the ground, but they've got you covered there on the mag as well, because they put a rubber bumper here at the bottom. So the mag is CO2, holds a single 12-gram cartridge in there, and it does have a built-in tool here in the bumper, so you don't have to worry about keeping up with an Allen key to make those CO2 changes. It holds about 16 rounds, and what's neat about it is they did think this through, and I like this. It actually locks down, so you can slide the follower down here out of the way. You can click it over to the side. There's a small hole here at the bottom where you can load your BBs in rather than having to load them in from the top. Once it's loaded, you can flip it over to the side, and it slides back up and locks into place. Also, the way I said, this is kind of a slight blowback here. You can barely see the mag once it's inserted in the chamber, so at least you can kind of glance down and know that you've got it in there. But unfortunately, you can't see the rounds in there, which is probably one of the few little Achilles heels of this pistol. So the grip is huge, contoured and oversized, but not so big that smaller and medium-sized hands, I've got about an average size hand here, fits really comfortably on here. I have no trouble getting a hold of it or reaching any of the controls. So I'm glad they thought of everything for those of us that don't have the massive hands that sometimes it requires for those big double stack pistols. So taking this thing to the Chrono, it's going to be in raced pistol territory. So understand really high numbers here. We're looking at the 400s, on the very low end of the 400s. So this is probably not going to be a field gun for most of you guys, especially if you play indoors. But for those of you who play outdoors with higher limits, or you're doing target shooting, which is what this thing is designed for time trials, this is going to be a great pistol for you. So guys, if you're looking for that new IPSC style pistol, you do a lot of target shooting, or you have a field that might have one of those cool new electronic target systems out by some of those companies out there, definitely take a look at the Elite Force Umarex race gun, and you'll pick it up at any authorized online or local Elite Force dealer. Or if you're looking for an Airsoftology approved retailer, I'll have a link to our dealer locator in the description below. So what do you guys think about a race gun? Do you think this is something that Airsoft is going to start to move? Maybe, there's not really a competitive side aside from like going to milsim ops, but more of a competitive side against time trials. Do you think that's where Airsoft is going? Or do you think this is just kind of a cool gun? Looks kind of neat. Let me know in the comment section below. Well guys, that's it for this episode of the Gear Guide. I'll be back in the next one where I review an entire biathlon setup for Airsoft that includes skiing.